Welcome back to the Real Life English podcast.
So I want to start by asking you, the listener, a really simple question. What does success actually mean to you,
It sounds so easy.
right? But it is actually one of the biggest, most difficult questions we ever face in our lives.
Absolutely. It really is.
I mean, imagine this. You have just been handed the keys to a brand new, incredibly expensive luxury car. You drive it to a tall, beautiful glass building where you have this amazing corner office.
the dream, basically.
Exactly. Your bank account is completely full.
Yeah.
You have achieved every single thing you ever wrote down on your list of goals.
Wow. Okay.
But now imagine sitting in that beautiful car, looking out the window, and realizing you feel absolutely nothing.
Oh, wow.
No joy, no satisfaction, just this very quiet, heavy feeling of emptiness.
That is such a powerful image. And honestly, that scenario of sitting in the luxury car and feeling nothing, that is the defining crisis of the modern age.
Really? You think it's that common?
Oh, totally. We see it constantly in the research in biographies of highly accomplished people and, everyday therapy offices. People dedicate decades of their lives to a very specific set of instructions only to realize the instructions were completely flawed.
Right. So today, our mission for this conversation is to unpack that. We want to look at the illusion of the default blueprint of success.
Yes. We need to separate what we actually want from what society, demands of us.
Exactly. We want to figure out how to build a life that feels good to you rather than one that just looks good to everyone else.
I love that. And to understand how we get trapped in that car, we really have to examine this concept of the default blueprint.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, when we hear the word success, our brains do not picture a blank canvas. They automatically project a really specific, standardized image.
Like the movie version of a business executive.
Exactly. We picture financial wealth, relentless career progression, and this elevated social status that forces other people to look up to us.
Right. And that default blueprint is treated like a universal truth, almost like gravity, like it's just a law of nature.
But it is so vital to remember that this blueprint was actually built by society. It's a construct.
Yeah. In our sources for today's discussion, there's a very clear breakdown of this default idea. It basically functions like a mandatory checklist for adulthood.
A very strict checklist.
Right. Society hands you this piece of paper and says, check all these boxes and we will finally grant you the title of a successful human being.
And step one is usually securing a quote-unquote good job, which almost always means a job with a really recognized, prestigious title: doctor, lawyer, engineer, corporate manager.
And then step two, I imagine, is the money.
Spot on. Step two involves earning a high, constantly growing income. Then step three demands visible stability through property,
Owning a house.
specifically an impressive house. And step four requires maintaining a desirable lifestyle. So wearing certain brands, taking photogenic vacations.
Vacations that look great on social media, of course.
Exactly. And eating at exclusive restaurants.
So let's look at the history of that specific list.
Yeah.
Because it didn't always exist. It is really tied to the post-World War II economic boom.
Yes, that was a huge turning point.
Because before the middle of the 20th century, for the vast majority of human history, success was literally just survival.
Right. Did you make it through the winter?
Exactly. If your family had enough food for the winter and a roof over your head, you were incredibly successful.
That was the peak.
But suddenly, in the modern era, there was this massive surplus of resources. We had advertising industries rising up, telling a growing middle class that a house in the suburbs, 2 cars in the driveway, and a corporate job were the new baseline for a good life.
We basically created a checklist based on consumerism, not human fulfillment.
Yes. And because that checklist is based on consumerism, every single item on it shares one really crucial characteristic.
Visibility.
Visibility. Every single item is something you can easily show to a stranger.
That makes a lot of sense.
Which brings us to this idea I like to call the trophy case analogy.
Oh, I like this. Walk me through it.
Okay, so imagine walking into an old friend's living room. And right in the center of the room is a large glass cabinet with a bright light shining down on it.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Inside, there are shiny gold cups, silver medals, bright blue ribbons. Now, that trophy case is highly visible. It is designed specifically to be instantly understood by anyone who walks through the front door.
Right, you don't even have to explain it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You do not need to ask your friend a single question. The shiny gold cup communicates success immediately. And traditional default success Functions exactly like that glass cabinet.
We build our lives to be put on display.
We do. We treat a fancy job title or an expensive neighborhood exactly like a gold cup. They are physical, undeniable proof to everyone else that we are winning the game.
And, the underlying mechanism driving our obsession with that glass cabinet is deeply rooted in our biology, like our evolutionary biology.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, for thousands of years, humans survived in small tribes. And in those ancient tribes, your value to the group determined whether you were fed or left behind to starve.
Wow, so the stakes were literally life or death.
Exactly. If you were the best hunter or the best gatherer, you had visible status. Your status guaranteed your survival.
So people knew you were valuable.
Yes. Today, obviously, we no longer live in those dangerous tribes, but our brains are running the exact same ancient software.
Oh, I see.
We frantically collect visible markers of success, the expensive car, the promotion, because a primitive part of our brain believes that if we do not show the tribe our value, we will be abandoned.
Wow. So we are basically trying to cure an ancient survival anxiety with modern luxury goods.
That is a perfect way to put it, yes.
And society actively encourages this
Yeah.
because external visible success is completely quantifiable. It's clean math.
Right, it's very easy to calculate.
Yeah, we can easily compare two numbers. If one person earns $50,000 and another earns $100,000, society comfortably declares the second person twice as successful. It's just binary.
But by contrast, society has absolutely no idea how to measure invisible internal states.
What do you mean by internal states?
Well, how do you quantify a deep sense of peace? What is the mathematical formula for the feeling of waking up and genuinely looking forward to your day?
You can't put a number on that.
No, you can't. Those things cannot be placed inside a glass cabinet. And because they are invisible, society does not reward them.
That is so true.
Think about it. If you tell an acquaintance that you have finally achieved perfect mental serenity, they might just politely smile and change the subject.
Right, they wouldn't know what to say.
But if you announce you were just promoted to vice president of your company, they will buy you a drink and applaud. And as humans, we naturally alter our behavior to chase the things that generate applause.
Okay, so that perfectly explains the origin of the checklist.
Right.
We are essentially born into a world where the rules of the game have already been decided.
And the audience is already waiting to clap for specific things.
Right. But how exactly do we absorb this? I mean, a baby does not care about a corner office.
No, a baby definitely doesn't. We are conditioned. It functions exactly like learning your native language.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you do not sit down as a toddler and memorize grammar rules. You simply listen to the adults around you speaking, and eventually you just adopt their vocabulary and their sentence structure.
So we absorb the language of success through constant exposure.
Exactly. Constant, subtle exposure. And it begins really early. Think about the gold star mechanism in education.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The sticker on the homework.
Right. A child performs a task better than their peers, and the teacher places a visible, shiny gold star on their paper.
And the brain receives a massive rush of dopamine from that physical marker of approval.
The gold star creates a powerful neurological association. Performing better than others and receiving visible proof feels incredibly good.
But it's addictive.
It is. And as we grow older, the gold star simply changes shape. It becomes a university degree, a paycheck, or a prestigious job title. The foundational mechanism remains completely unchanged.
But receiving that gold star from a teacher doesn't happen in a vacuum. I mean, the child only understands that their star is special if they look around the classroom and realize the kid sitting next to them didn't get one.
R got a silver one instead? Yes.
Right. That introduces the trap of comparison. We use other people as mirrors to judge our own lives.
And this is where we encounter a brilliant psychological concept developed by the philosopher René Girard. It's known as mimetic desire.
Mimetic desire. Okay, what is that?
The core idea is that human beings do not naturally know what to desire. Unlike our biological need for water or sleep, our desires for specific lifestyles or careers are not hardwired into us.
So we have to learn what to want.
Exactly. Because we do not know what to want, we look at the people around us and simply imitate their desires.
That is fascinating. It's like putting two toddlers in a room filled with 100 different toys.
Yes, perfect example.
They will completely ignore 99 of the toys. But the second one, toddler picks up a red ball. The other toddler suddenly decides that the red ball is the only thing in the entire world they want.
That is mimetic desire in its purest form. And we carry that exact same behavior into adulthood.
Give me an example of how that looks for an adult.
Okay, so you might be perfectly content driving a reliable 5-year-old car. But the moment your neighbor pulls into their driveway with a brand new, expensive vehicle, you suddenly look at your older car and feel a profound sense of inadequacy.
Even though the car's fine.
Right. You did not inherently desire a new car an hour ago. You adopted your neighbor's desire simply by observing it.
Okay, wait, let me challenge that idea for a moment. Let
Yeah.
me push back.
Sure, go ahead.
I totally understand the danger of imitating someone else's desire for a luxury car.
Yeah.
But isn't some comparison fundamentally necessary for human progress?
How do you mean?
Well, if I am trying to learn a new skill, like playing the piano, and I watch a master pianist perform, I am comparing myself to them. That comparison highlights my flaws, right?
Yes, it does.
But it also motivates me to practice for hours. Doesn't comparison provide the friction we actually need to improve our lives?
That is a critical distinction to make. Comparison can absolutely be a powerful source of motivation. It expands our understanding of what is possible.
Right, it shows you the potential.
Exactly. Watching the master pianist proves that such an incredible level of skill can be achieved by a human being. The danger lies in the difference between the energy of motivation and the direction of that energy.
Well, break that down for me. Energy versus direction.
So motivation is simply the engine. It provides the fuel to work hard, but mimetic desire steals the steering wheel. It is one thing to be inspired by the pianist's dedication and apply that work ethic to your own passion. It is a completely different scenario to see your friend graduate from law school, secure a high-paying job, and suddenly decide that you must become a lawyer to be valuable.
Even if you find studying law incredibly boring.
Exactly. When comparison dictates the actual destination rather than just fueling the journey, we force ourselves into a one-size-fits-all template.
We basically try to wear a piece of clothing that was tailored for someone else's body.
Yes, it doesn't fit.
And if the definition of success is narrow and universal, it completely ignores the reality of human diversity. I mean, my personality, my energy levels, the specific environments that make me feel calm or stressed, those are entirely unique to my biology.
Yes, to you alone.
So assuming the exact same career path would make us both equally happy is just logically absurd.
It is absurd, yet millions of people force themselves into that universal shirt, suffering silently because the fabric is too tight.
They just endure it.
They endure the discomfort because they believe the promise society made to them. The promise that if you check the boxes, you will eventually unlock happiness.
Which brings us right back to the terrible realization we started the show with, the phenomenon of emptiness.
It's a tough realization.
What happens when someone endures the discomfort, checks every single box, fills their trophy case to the ceiling, and still feels completely hollow? We need to spend some time validating this feeling for you, the listener, because it is an incredibly confusing space to occupy.
It really is. And it's isolating because society offers zero sympathy for the successful but miserable individual.
Oh, true. People judge them.
Right. If someone has a high salary and a beautiful home and they express feelings of deep unhappiness, the immediate cultural reaction is to label them ungrateful.
That is so unfair. Imagine the psychological shock. You traded 20 or 30 years of your finite life for a promise.
You skipped family dinners.
You sacrificed your sleep. You neglected your physical health. You followed all the rules laid out in the default blueprint.
And
You arrive at the destination. You open the treasure chest you fought so hard to find, and it is completely empty.
a helpful way to conceptualize this is through the mechanics of human nutrition.
Oh, like food.
Yeah, chasing external, visible success is often like eating a diet composed entirely of empty calories, like refined sugar.
Okay, I'm following.
When you eat a large amount of sugar, your blood glucose spikes immediately. You feel a sudden rush of intense energy.
Like a sugar high.
Exactly. And this is exactly what happens when you receive a promotion, buy a luxury item, or gain 1,000 followers on social media. You receive a massive spike of dopamine.
But the sugar provides absolutely no cellular nutrition. It does not contain the vitamins, minerals, or proteins your body actually needs to sustain itself.
Precisely. Therefore, the energy spike is totally temporary. An hour later, your blood sugar crashes violently. You feel exhausted, irritated, and somehow hungrier than you were before you ate.
Wow, that is a perfect analogy.
External achievements provide a status spike, but they do not provide internal emotional nutrition. They cannot nourish your soul. So, you crash.
And because you are hungry again, you just assume the solution is to consume more empty calories.
Exactly. You chase a bigger promotion or a more expensive car, and you trap yourself in a cycle of endless consumption and inevitable exhaustion.
You know, for our listeners who are learning English, we often use the phrase on paper to describe this exact situation.
Yes, that's a very common idiom.
When we say a person's life is perfect on paper, we mean that if you were to read a printed list of their facts, statistics, and accomplishments, it would look like a masterpiece.
But the paper does not reflect their daily lived experience.
Exactly. The emptiness they feel is a glaring contradiction to the paper.
And that glaring contradiction is not a personal failure on the part of the individual. It is, in fact, the ultimate clue.
The clue.
Yes, it is the definitive proof that the entire game is structurally flawed.
It is the realization that you just spent decades climbing the wrong mountain. You fought through storms, you exhausted your muscles, you finally reached the summit, and you realize the mountain of joy is actually 5 miles away.
You climbed the mountain of status by mistake.
Exactly.
Acknowledging that you climbed the wrong mountain is painful, but it is the first step to genuine freedom. It forces you to permanently separate the concept of success into two distinct, independent categories.
Okay, let's break those down.
We have external success and internal success.
We need to define these terms with absolute clarity for the audience. External success represents everything the outside world can observe and measure.
Right. It is the square footage of your home, the brand of your clothing, the title on your business card, and the balance of your bank account.
Going back to your analogy, it is the sugar.
It is the sugar.
Yeah.
Now, internal success is completely invisible to the audience. It is a private, emotional landscape.
How would you describe that landscape?
It is the quiet feeling of contentment on an unremarkable Tuesday morning. It is the presence of mental peace, a clear conscience, and a deep sense of personal alignment with your daily actions.
It is the cellular nutrition.
Exactly.
The core conflict of modern life is that we treat these two separate things as if they are permanently linked. We assume that increasing external success automatically increases internal success.
But they operate completely independently of one another. You can have incredibly high external success while suffering from really low internal success.
That is the executive having a panic attack in the luxury car.
Exactly. Conversely, you can maintain relatively low external success while experiencing profound internal success.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. Consider a person who works as a groundskeeper at a local botanical garden.
Okay.
They earn a modest hourly wage. They drive an old, dented vehicle. They live in a small, rented apartment. By the rigid metrics of the default blueprint, society would classify them as unsuccessful.
Because their trophy case is empty.
Right. But let's look at their internal landscape. They spend 8 hours a day outdoors, working with their hands, surrounded by quiet nature.
That sounds lovely, honestly.
Right. They leave their work at the garden gate. They do not take emails home with them. They cook dinner with their partner every evening. They sleep deeply for 8 hours every night.
Their internal success is extraordinarily high.
Very high. The tragedy occurs when we try to solve an internal problem with an external solution.
Oh, that's a huge point.
If you feel a deep sense of unworthiness or loneliness, working 80 hours a week to afford a larger house will never cure that feeling. You cannot fix a fractured emotion by purchasing an object.
You know, I want to inject my own personal perspective here, if that's all right.
Please do.
Because navigating the tension between external and internal success has been a massive part of my own life. It is really not an easy transition to make.
I'd love to hear about that. How did your personal definition of success operate in the past, and what does it look like today?
Well, for a very long time, my definition of success was entirely external. And it was entirely focused on intellect.
Intellect, like being smart.
Yeah. For me, success meant being perceived by others as the smartest person in the room. I wanted people to listen to me speak and think, wow, they are a true expert. They know everything.
Ah, I see.
I wanted prestigious titles and public validation. My personal trophy case was not filled with cars or houses. It was filled with academic achievements and compliments about my intelligence.
That is a very sophisticated form of the default blueprint. You are still outsourcing your success to the opinions of the tribe.
Exactly. I was handing a stranger a scorecard and asking them to grade my worth, and it was absolutely exhausting.
Can't imagine.
It created terrible imposter syndrome because there is always someone smarter or someone who read a book you haven't read yet.
Always.
My internal success was completely bankrupt because I was trapped in a state of constant anxiety defending my image. I was terrified of ever saying the words, I don't know.
So how did you restructure that definition to serve your internal success? How did you change it?
I shifted the focus from the appearance of knowledge to the actual experience of curiosity.
Oh, I like that.
Today, my personal definition of success is incredibly simple. It is just the freedom to be curious.
The freedom to be curious.
Yes, success is waking up and having the time to learn one new, fascinating thing. And more importantly, it is having the opportunity to share that interesting idea with good friends like you and like the listener right now.
Notice the structural difference in your new definition, though. You completely remove the audience's ability to judge your success.
Yes, it is about the joy of learning, not the status of knowing. If I read an interesting article about biology in the morning and we have a great conversation about it in the afternoon, I consider that day a massive success.
And no one has to give you a gold star for it.
Exactly. It does not matter if anyone gives me an award. The feeling of learning is the success itself. I can finally admit I have no idea how that works. Let's find out. And it feels like a victory rather than a defeat.
You transferred the control from the outside world directly into your own hands. That's huge.
It really changed my life.
However, making that shift, as you mentioned, is incredibly difficult for most people. Even if someone intellectually understands that internal success is more important, they struggle to act on it because they are fighting against a massive invisible force.
What force is that?
They're fighting the pressure of time.
Ah, the invisible clock. This is perhaps the most insidious part of the default blueprint. Society does not just hand us a mandatory checklist. It hands us a highly aggressive deadline for every single item on that list.
The timeline dictates the entire rhythm of our lives.
It really does.
The cultural narrative provides a very specific script. You must graduate from university by age 22. You must have a defined, upward-moving career path established by 25.
Right. And you must be engaged or married by 28.
Exactly. You must purchase real estate and have your first child by age 30. If you have not reached a mid-level management position by 35, the narrative implies you have fundamentally failed.
It is like someone hands you a stopwatch the second you were born, clicks the button, and screams, "Hurry up!"
Yes.
This timeline creates a chronic, low-level hum of anxiety in almost everyone. People are constantly checking the calendar and comparing it to their current status. This generates the deeply painful sensation of falling behind.
And the feeling of falling behind is entirely a product of this artificial timeline. Let's analyze a hypothetical situation.
Okay, let's do it.
Imagine a person who is 29 years old. They are physically healthy, they have a strong group of supportive friends, they work a job that easily pays their rent and allows them to save a little money each month.
Sounds like a great life.
By any objective measure of human history, they are thriving.
But because the invisible clock says they, quote-unquote, should own a house and be married by 30, and they are currently single and renting an apartment, they will wake up every day feeling like a profound failure.
Exactly. They are punished emotionally by the timeline, not by their actual reality.
The timeline takes a perfectly good, peaceful life and aggressively labels it as delayed.
It's heartbreaking.
Now, wait, I need to push back on this concept of the timeline just a little bit.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
Is the clock entirely artificial? I mean, we are biological creatures, our bodies age, time is finite. If someone genuinely wants to have biological children, the biological clock is an unavoidable medical reality. It is not a social construct.
That is very true.
Furthermore, without some sense of a timeline, wouldn't we just waste our finite lives sitting on the couch playing video games? Doesn't the clock give us necessary urgency?
That is an excellent challenge, and we absolutely must draw a sharp line between biological reality and artificial milestones.
Right.
You are absolutely correct that biology dictates certain timelines, particularly regarding fertility and physical health. Acknowledging biological limits is simply dealing with reality.
Okay, good. We agree on that.
Furthermore, understanding that our time on Earth is finite can provide a beautiful, purpose-driven urgency to accomplish the things that truly matter to us.
So where does it become toxic then?
It becomes toxic when we confuse purpose-driven urgency with panic-driven conformity.
Oh, that's a great phrase. Say that again.
Purpose-driven urgency versus panic-driven conformity. The biological clock is real, but the rule that you must be a corporate manager by age 35 is a complete fabrication.
It's made up.
Completely. The rule that you must own a house before you turn 30 is an invention of the real estate and banking industries, not a law of nature.
Wow. Yeah.
The danger of the invisible clock is that it forces us to rush into massive life decisions, like marrying the wrong person or taking on massive debt to buy a house, simply to avoid the social embarrassment of missing a deadline.
We sacrifice the quality of our actual lives because we are terrified of failing the schedule.
Exactly.
We sprint toward goals we might not even want, just to prove we can run fast.
It's exhausting.
To escape this pressure, we have to aggressively take our power back. We have to throw the default blueprint in the trash and design a new one from scratch.
And designing a personal blueprint is the most vital work a person can do. It begins by fundamentally changing the question that drives your daily decisions.
Okay, so the old question, the one embedded in the gold stars and the trophy cases, was always, what looks good to others?
Yes.
That question builds the timeline. That question feeds mimetic desire.
But the new question requires radical, sometimes uncomfortable honesty. The new question is, what actually matters to me?
What actually matters to me? I love that.
It changes everything.
To answer that, you have to quiet the noise, you have to mute the advertising, lovingly ignore the expectations of your parents, and stop looking at your neighbor's driveway.
You have to listen to your own internal compass.
And when you do that, you quickly realize that success is not a one-size-fits-all shirt. It takes incredibly diverse shapes.
Very diverse.
Let's explore some of these different shapes of success to illustrate how broad the definition can be for the listener.
Sure. A very prominent alternative shape of success is the pursuit of absolute freedom.
Freedom. Okay, what does that look like?
For individuals who define success this way, the ultimate currency is not money. The ultimate currency is time. Their goal is to accumulate just enough resources to buy back their autonomy.
So they just want control.
Yes. Success is the ability to wake up in the morning and possess complete, unyielding control over their own schedule.
A person optimizing for freedom will gladly make external sacrifices. They might intentionally choose to live in a very small apartment or refuse to upgrade their phone if it means they only have to work 30 hours a week instead of 60.
Exactly. Their trophy is their Tuesday afternoon.
I love that. Their trophy is a Tuesday afternoon.
Right. If they can spend Tuesday afternoon taking a long walk in the park without checking their email, they have won the game. The corporate executive might look at them and think they are poor, but the person with freedom looks at the executive and thinks the executive is a prisoner.
That is such a powerful perspective shift. What's another shape of success?
Another deeply valid shape is stability.
Oh, I think this one is frequently overlooked in our culture.
It really is.
For someone who experienced a chaotic childhood, perhaps growing up in a home with severe financial insecurity where the electricity was constantly turned off, the concept of chasing more is actually traumatizing.
Yes.
For them, success is the profound absence of panic.
Exactly. Modern hustle culture constantly preaches that you must always be climbing, always expanding, always scaling up. But for an individual whose core value is stability, climbing introduces unnecessary risk and chaos.
So what do they want instead?
For them, reaching a safe, secure plateau and building a fortified structure there is the ultimate victory. Knowing the rent is paid, the refrigerator is full, and the routine is predictable is a massive, highly respectable form of success.
They do not want to build the tallest tower. They want to build the strongest foundation.
Beautifully said. And then there are people whose entire definition of success revolves around relationships and deep connections.
Right. For these individuals, the quality of their life is entirely determined by the quality of their community.
Yes.
Their metrics for success are questions like, do I have a supportive, trusting partnership? Am I deeply involved in raising my children? Do I have friends who would help me in a crisis?
And this definition often requires directly rejecting the default blueprint.
How so?
Well, if a parent is offered a massive promotion that comes with a 50% pay increase, but requires them to travel away from home 4 days a week, society says they must take the money.
Right, it's a promotion. You can't say no.
But if their definition of success is being at the dinner table with their children every evening, taking that promotion would be a catastrophic failure.
They turn down the money to protect their actual wealth, which is their family.
Precisely. And finally, we must acknowledge the beauty of quiet satisfaction.
Quiet satisfaction.
Yes, the art of romanticizing the ordinary.
This is the exact opposite of the highlight reel culture on social media. It is finding profound joy in a completely average, unremarkable day. It is realizing that you do not need a luxury vacation to Bali to feel good. You can feel a deep sense of success just brewing a really good cup of coffee in your own kitchen, feeling the sun coming through the window, and taking your dog for a walk.
It is the ultimate liberation. If you can cultivate the ability to be deeply satisfied with a normal Tuesday, you become invincible.
Invincible.
Yes, you are no longer living in a hypothetical future waiting for an achievement to grant you permission to be happy. You are experiencing success in the present tense.
Freedom, stability, relationships, quiet satisfaction. None of these definitions require a glass cabinet.
Not a single one.
None of them can be measured by a stranger. But there is one final critical aspect to building a personal definition of success, and that is accepting that your definition will expire.
Oh, yes. This is so important. It is not permanent. We must understand the evolution of success over time.
Right, we change.
A common mistake people make is finally figuring out what success means to them at age 25 and then assuming that definition will serve them for the rest of their lives.
But success is not a static destination on a map.
No, it is a living, breathing concept that must be actively redefined as your biology and psychology change.
I mean, the person I am today is fundamentally different from the person I was 10 years ago. My brain has literally rewired itself based on my experiences.
Exactly. In your 20s, your definition of success might rightfully revolve around exploration, taking massive risks and expanding your social network.
Because you have an abundance of physical energy, and your goal is to sample as much of the world as possible.
But when you reach your late 30s or 40s, your biological energy shifts. Your values consolidate.
Suddenly, the idea of staying out until 2 in the morning networking with strangers sounds like a punishment, not a success.
Right. In this phase of life, success might mean maintaining a quiet, highly organized home, establishing deep routines, and dedicating your energy to a few very close friends or children.
And as you move into your 60s, 70s, and beyond, the definition transforms again.
Yes, success often shifts toward optimizing physical health, mentoring the next generation, or finding spiritual peace.
So the friction occurs when a 40-year-old is still judging their life by the success metrics they created when they were 20.
Exactly. You have to give yourself permission to outgrow your old dreams.
If you realize that a goal you chased for 5 years no longer excites you, dropping that goal is not a failure. It is evidence of personal growth.
You're simply taking out a pen and writing a new, more accurate draft of your blueprint.
I love that. You are writing a new draft.
To synthesize all the threads of our conversation today, I want to offer a framework that relieves the pressure for everyone listening.
Please do.
There is no universal scoreboard. There is no judge at the end of your life checking your bank account or evaluating your job title. Success is a highly subjective, totally customizable experience.
That is so freeing.
The only absolute requirement for a successful life is that the life you build actually provides you with internal fulfillment. If your choices bring you peace, you have won the game, regardless of what the default blueprint dictates.
That is a deeply comforting reality. It dismantles the invisible clock and shatters the trophy case entirely.
It really does.
So, as we bring this conversation to a close, I want to pull this out of the theoretical realm and hand it directly back to you, the listener. It is time for practical application.
Yes, time to do the work.
To help you evaluate your own internal compass, I want you to reflect on 3 specific questions today.
And these questions are designed to bypass the conditioning and access your actual desires. So be honest with yourself.
Exactly. Question number 1, what makes you feel truly happy on a normal, everyday basis?
Just a normal day.
Right. Strip away the vacations and the rare celebrations. Focus on an average Tuesday. What small, specific actions or moments actually bring you a feeling of joy or peace?
That's a great question.
Question number 2, take a hard look at the major goals you are working toward right now. Are those goals genuinely coming from your own internal desires, or did you absorb them from someone else's expectations?
Did you choose that path, or did mimetic desire choose it for you?
Perfect way to put it. And finally, question number 3, how has your idea of a good life changed since you were younger?
Look back at what you desperately wanted 10 years ago.
Yes, compare it to what brings you comfort today. Acknowledge and celebrate that growth.
Answering those 3 questions with brutal honesty is the first step in laying the foundation for a life that actually fits you.
And we would absolutely love to hear your insights. Please share your answers with us. Tell us how your personal definition of success has evolved over the years.
It's so inspiring to hear.
It really is. Understanding the incredibly diverse ways people find fulfillment is easily the most fascinating part of doing this show.
Well, I will leave you with one final, provocative thought to turn over in your mind today.
All right, let's hear it.
We spent a lot of time discussing the glass trophy case in the living room, perfectly lit and designed for the tribe to see. Let's completely remove the audience.
No audience at all.
None. If no one else in the world could ever see your achievements, if there was no applause, no status to be gained, and absolutely no one to impress, what would you choose to do with your life tomorrow?